Scott, we're kicking it old school with some C&C.
Oh yeah. For a whole lot more videos like this one, check out our channel, give us a like, and subscribe.
Scott, you and I were pretty pumped up this week as we jumped into Command & Conquer Remastered Collection. This is an old school game, man. Like, this is like bringing me way back to my old PC days playing Command & Conquer Red Alert, Command & Conquer. Like, it was, dude, it was a nice trip down memory lane, I gotta be honest. What do you think of Command & Conquer, the Remastered Edition?
Oh, absolutely. This one hit me right in the nostalgia. My shout out to my brother for getting me into RTS games, and this one particularly. This was the first. And Command & Conquer Red Alert particular, the wackiness of the cutscenes, all the acting and live-to-action recordings they did, and the beautiful cinematics of the time. Wow, what a kick.
Well, it was definitely a time period piece back then, and then to get the Remastered Edition, I wanted to see, honestly, I wanted to see more out of the remaster. Basically what happens is you're able to kick it into 4K graphics by the flick of your space bar, and that is for in-game only. So you can jump back and forth on the fly between the two, kicking it old school, and then the ability to jump it up and get into high res. But even then, I didn't really see the amount of detail that I was hoping for coming from a remastered version of the game. The cinematics are still that old school feel. They still kind of have that, they have that graininess, right? So there's two sides of it. There's kind of the, yeah, I can appreciate that they brought the game back to us to let a new audience kind of take in what we were playing with way back in the day. But at the same time, for remastered, I want this thing, like we just had Crash remastered. Dude, Crash Bandicoot got a remastered from the ground up. This isn't from the ground up.
They did do something to the cinematics. I noticed they're vectorized, or something seems just a little bit better than my memory serves. But then when it comes to the combat, the characters look kind of like I remember back in the day. So it doesn't seem like a jump up. I don't know if I just had bad vision back then, or it just hitting the spacebar, revealing the HD graphics, doesn't really seem a huge step up. It is, of course, much better to look at. It doesn't look quite like that Windows 98 that was running it originally or something, but it was not quite as spectacular as the audio. Huge mention to the audio in this game. It gets you right into the action, and it gets you pumped up.
Man, that rock music, when that kicked back in, I was like, oh crap, I forgot about that. Wow, is it ever good to hear it again? Like, it was so nice. But yeah, the biggest feel for me was getting back into the gameplay, and I'm like, oh yeah, all these memories come flooding back, and the hours upon hours I spent playing the Command & Conquer series. It was so cool in the storyline. And you know, just to touch on the story briefly, is like you can tell it is from that time period and the way everything was done and created, right? So to play that again was really cool, but at the same time, I just wanted a bit more, Scott. I really did. I wanted more detail in the graphics. I wanted, okay, you jump up to 4K, but I really feel like they just kind of smooth out the textures. They didn't enhance any of the textures. They didn't bring in more detail. When we're playing a lot of these games now, to the point where we're at in today's technology, it is so detailed and so much more texture within the map.
It doesn't have any sort of enhancement to the AI system, so a lot of those same issues that you remember back in the day are a lot more prevalent now as you're trying to execute quick maneuvers. And the game seems to be somewhat more difficult than I remember somehow. Playing through the campaigns, the AI is punishing, and this game is a lot seemingly about resource scarcity than I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd have to agree with that as well. I remember when I was playing as a kid, I'm going to say it was, grabbing resources came pretty often and relatively easy, where now I'm like, man, where are all the resources going? So it's just something I think differently now moving forward. Like, how much of that nostalgia stays with you, right? You remember all the good parts, the highs. You don't really necessarily remember a lot of the lows when you move on to years and years, like decades later. So to jump back in, dude, honestly, I had a great time though. It was so much fun to be back into this game.
Yeah, it absolutely was a nice blast from the past. I really hope a lot of people take advantage of this repackaging and jump into this game and experience a multiplayer boom, hopefully. And if there's enough interest in this game, I hope that they go through with it and remaster ones later on in the franchise and maybe give it more polish and more of a actual deep rework, since they're working with something that's less of a timepiece.
Scott, I'm kind of going out on a whim, and I'm just more being, I think, hopeful than anything else. Jumping back into the Command & Conquer franchise was a great trip down memory lane, and I loved my time here, but now moving forward with today's technology and all that good stuff, I want to see a new version of Command & Conquer. I want to see a new Red Alert. There's more I want to see now that we've kind of had this trip down memory lane to see what they can do to push it, to bring it forward. We had a mobile game. It really wasn't our usual Command & Conquer gameplay style. So to see something new is something I'm hoping for now that they've, I think, tested the waters to see how much the remastered kind of hits home with people.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it inspired some consumer hunger, and we demand that they release a Red Alert 4 or 5, whichever one they're on now, because the series has gotten wacky, and I hope that they continue their development of the game and come out with something modern. It's been a long time since the last one that I played on 360, and it could definitely take some advantages from the new hardware.
Well, that was a trip down memory lane. Scott, what are you going to score Command & Conquer Remastered Collection?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to jump back into an old memory and relive a lot of these cheesy cutscenes that I was really a fan of when I was younger.
For sure.
This game did a lot to introduce me to the RTS genre itself, and it's hard to put away those nostalgia goggles when I'm looking at this one, to be honest. The audio department just absolutely blows me away, and the gameplay is still just as fun. I have to give this one an 8.5.
Wow, that is pretty high, Scott. I'll give you that one. I didn't think you'd go that high, I'm going to be honest. I had a good time being in the game again, bringing back an old classic, basically where I started for the RTS kind of series of games that I would move forward with, but I want to see something now being brought over to create something new to keep us old school fans becoming a new school fan, right? I'd like to see that. And my time with the game was great, but I found it to be a little under remastered, and that's why I'm there with a 7.5.
You heard the man. What are you waiting for?
Our base is under attack.
The Remastered Collection is an awesome relic from the past. HD upgrade is nice, but we hope future remasters do a deeper overhaul of game mechanics.